Yes.
Okay. I see we have a quorum. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Let me turn the contraption on. Turn your mics on, you guys.
Yeah.
I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda? Well, I'd like to add a couple of things to the agenda. Under 4B, let's add discussion about talking about more places that we want to add to the local register. And under item C, 4C, I would like to add a discussion about the Bernard Thomas mural that was removed from the Women's Club. If there are no objections, are there any objections to those additions? No? Oh, very good, thank you, Brenda. Seeing no objections, is there a motion regarding the amended agenda? You can be the second. Very good. Sorry. Thank you, Brenda. Okay, next up is the approval of the minutes. Any additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes?
Seeing none,
Seeing none?
move the approval
Of the minutes, as written. Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Motion passes. Okay, Vicky. Moving right along to communications and announcements. We have a presentation tonight. I guess you're the star.
Yeah. Yes, yes, we do. We have Kelly Armstead. She's an art culture center manager. She's here to present about Unity Project. Kelly?
Hello, Kelly. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the city, too, I understand.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm here on behalf of Craig Clark, the Arts and Cultural Center Director, who is out sick this evening.
Oh, no.
So I'm presenting on his behalf. The Unity Project is a city collaboration with the Heart of Boynton Community and Boynton Arts to create a series of events and activities between February and April. Unity is the theme, honoring our past and celebrating our future, with different, again, events and activities and public art displays. It will culminate with a Unity Festival on April 27th here at Centennial Park. The Unity Project partners include Heart of Boynton Neighborhood Association, Heart of Boynton Community, the Mellon Foundation, the Florida Division of Arts and Culture Department of State, South Arts, City of Boynton Beach Public Arts, and the project total budget is $164,000. Some of the Unity events include a Night of Joy, which was completed on January 27th. It was at St. John's Missionary Baptist Church. Due to inclement weather, it was supposed to be outside, but it was moved to the church. It was from 3 to 8 p.m. It was a very well-attended event with different singers and praise dancers. So they had a wonderful time. The next event is going to be on February 18th, Soul Food Sunday, again at St. John's Missionary Baptist Church. On February 20th, here at City Commission Chambers, they're going to repeal 3 ordinances, Ordinance 37, 47, and 136. On February 24th, there will be a march in ordinance burning. The march will begin here at City Hall, and they will march to Sarah Sims, where there will be an ordinance burning, a community meal, and a block party with DJs. On March 6th.
Let's ask for when she's done. Can we ask for when she's done? You want to write it down? Okay, sorry.
No problem. On March 16th, there is going to be a meet and greet with mural artists that will be displaying their artwork at 2 different locations here in the city, as well as an exhibition at the Arts and Cultural Center. Between March and April, there will be a series of various community workshops, ideally for youth at the cultural center as well as in the schools. We'll have the visual artists go to the schools, and we'll have like a lunch and learn for the kids at the cultural center. We'll have box lunches for them, and they'll meet and greet with the visual artists, and they'll have different art exhibitions. In April, on April 27th, will be the Unity Festival. Again, that will be a community-wide event with various food vendors, performance artists, a children's village, and just a wonderful event for the entire community. In May, we will have a Haitian Heritage exhibit at the Arts and Cultural Center, along with other activities. In regards to the call to artists, it was created to for 2 muralists to be a part of the Unity Project. The call to artists went out in August of 2022. It was closed on December 8th, and there were 5 finalists out of 50 submissions. Again, the theme was Unity. The 5 finalists chosen were Shania Wingborn, Nargiza, I'm not going to mispronounce her last name, I'll just say Nargiza D, Tiffany Piazzi, Craig McGinnis, and Eduardo Mendieta. And the 2 finalists that were chosen at the Art Advisory Board meeting last Thursday on February 8th was Craig McGinnis and Eduardo Mendieta. The Art Advisory Board will they interviewed those 2 candidates during that time, and the 2 muralists will each receive a $5,000 honorarium plus a stipend for their supplies. On March 14th, they will return to the Art Advisory Board meeting with their final product after they've had community dialogue during the community meetings at Sarah Sims, which happens every other Tuesday. The 2 site locations, the Corner Business Wall on Federal Highway and MLK, and Sarah Sims Park, the Southside Racquetball Wall. So each artist has been chosen and provided which site location they will create their mural. So in addition to the muralists, they've been offered the opportunity to curate an exhibition across the street at the Arts and Cultural Center. They will meet with the city staff to discuss the mural creation timeline, the location, the agreement, and the logistics. They will install their artwork the week, actually this week and next week, and it will be on display February 20th through April 30th. They will also attend the Unity Project meeting scheduled, as I mentioned earlier, every other Tuesday at Carolyn Sims, because this is a collaboration between the community and the visual artists. So we want to have a dialogue so that the community can express their input as to what they would like those murals to actually represent. Again, along the theme of unity. So they will attend the meetings on February 13th and 27th for the community input, and we have the other days as well if they're able. They will attend the art exhibition reception on March 16th at the Boynton Beach Arts and Cultural Center from 3 to 5, where again their artwork will be on the wall, but they also will reveal the mural pieces that will be at the 2 site locations. They will attend the Unity Festival on April 27th at Centennial Park and Cultural Center, and at a later date, we will reveal the commissioned artwork piece. And then lastly, we have a sample of the historic marker. At this point in time, we don't have nailed down the exact locations of where we're going to put the markers. We're still getting community input. We do have a couple of locations, but as of right now, the Greater St. Mark AME Church is one location that has been suggested, and we have 1 to 2 other possible locations. Carolyn Sims, Ezel Hester, or Barton Cemetery. It won't be all three, it'll be just two. So a total of 3 markers is what we're looking to do. But again, we're gonna get more community input. And that concludes Craig's presentation for this evening. Are there any questions that I can
I think Rhonda's got one.
Well,
Sure.
I was curious about the ordinances.
Yes.
Could you please expand on that?
Yes, Ordinance 37 of 1924 instituted segregation, so that's going to be rescinded. Ordinance 47 of 1924 widened the segregation areas, that's going to be rescinded. And then Ordinance 136 of 1933 established the sundown law, and that is going to be rescinded as well.
They haven't been.
They've been on the books all these years.
Is that crazy?
Yes, so it's like 100 years that it's been on the books, so 1924 to 2024, which is why the Unity Project was sort of birthed. So a sense of unity, bringing the community together, et cetera, so through a series of activities.
Well, you have a question, Tom?
No, I just want to congratulate you on your efforts. It's exciting because we had a very similar situation in Lake Worth, where, I don't know if any of you know, but the African American community was called the Quarters, was referred to as the Quarters. And the area, the Wingfield Street, had a wall that went all the way down and separated the African American community from the Caucasian community. And in the 50s and 60s, it was seen as a division in the community, it separated the community. And then when I was elected in the 90s, along with me was the first African American city commissioner, Rita Lowe. We just celebrated 30 years of the MLK celebration there. And we created the wall, we called it the Wall of Unity. We said about being a division, and we were going to tear it down. We decided to do a mural on there of African American leaders in the community in quotes and speeches along the wall. And it really has brought the community together, so I applaud the city and the partnership that's being formed. I'm very surprised they're still on the books, but you know, it just gets overlooked. They're not enforced, obviously, and not utilized. But one of the things that we did, and I think you should look at it too, is your platting, the city platting. What we found after we removed these, we didn't have those ordinances in place, but we did find was in the city original platting was the area designated on the city original plat as the Negro section. And we felt that was offensive to have to look back at that. Now I know history is history, but sometimes we make mistakes in history, and you hope that good people will correct those as time goes on. So we removed that and filed with, you know, it's really, you know, more semantics than, but it really sends a very strong message to your community. And in fact, I really believe that worked in the early 90s with that unity, and this is something I was speaking with some of the African American leaders here, is we don't have a Martin Luther King monument or any type of, most large cities in the county have one. And we raised $260,000 and did the ball, the granite ball with just speeches on it. We need to do the same thing here. We need to create, it also will help with pride. And the perfect place is that new downtown, heart of Boynton area, start to create their, you know, that section of town's own identity and community again. Because that's very important. So congratulations on that. I apologize for rambling.
Well, I'm certain you'd be welcome to attend the community input meetings about the artists.
I would want them to, it really should be the
This is
community's
really-
ideas and.
Well, actually, I'm going to jump in here because you're probably in front of the Historic Resources Board because of your idea of doing sample historic markers. Of the list that you have on your paper, only the Barton Cemetery would be eligible for a historic marker. We would be thrilled to add any other locations that would be eligible to be put on our historic local register. Like the churches are probably eligible, but neither the Sims nor the Hester are old enough. They need to be 50 years. I mean, you're welcome to put a marker talking about the location, but you really should not designate them historic unless they're on the city's local register. But we'd love to have some. If anybody would like to apply to have their churches put on our local register, you know, welcome, we'd love you to be on the local register. The other thing that you should probably be aware of, and I know of this because I dealt with the Poinciana marker, you know, the one that's on the corner, the southwest corner there at MLK and Seacrest.
Yes.
It takes months to get these things ordered, and they're not cheap.
7,000.
Yeah, a piece.
Mark, we should, even though I don't think they're requesting to be designated, I believe they're just want historic markers.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they're asking for a designation because they want to be able to identify the property. So, you know, even though they're not, I don't think, are you here actually asking?
That is correct. Craig pulled this up just as a sample of a historic marker. We do know that Greater St. Paul AME Church is, and again, we were getting community input as to other locations that they felt should have some kind of historic significance, but not necessarily a designation. So that is correct. But again, community input.
Mm-hmm.
So that is correct.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you, Tom, because I think if they want to call them historic markers, they need to be on our local register. I don't know, what does everybody else think?
I agree. You can call
You know,
it, you can have a marker.
You
but
can
it's
call
not
it
a
a
historic marker.
but it's, yeah. I mean, the Barton certainly is eligible because it's already on our local register.
Okay.
We'd be thrilled to have the other churches come on in.
Greater St. Paul AME, because I
Yeah.
think that's over.
I think they're both old
Yeah.
enough.
Okay, so I'll let Craig know. Because again, some of these locations, except Barton, that was input from the community, from the
Yeah.
community meeting. So that's why, so no research had been done in regards to history, et cetera, et cetera. So I know he just put it on the list as possible. But we do know that Greater St. Mark, and we'll look at the Barton Cemetery and see if there's any other location of historic significance that we consider.
Welcome you to. It's not painful, it really isn't.
Mhm.
Is it, Jay? Painful for you, maybe.
No.
Okay, anybody else, questions, comments? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's lovely to meet you.
You as well. Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, you might see me at one of these community meetings.
May I just throw this out there? So I'm involved in the Delray Beach preservation, and you might want to call Michelle Boylan, the planner there, and ask her where they purchased theirs, because I don't think they're $7,000.
Can you repeat that for me? I'm sorry.
The historic planner in Delray Beach, her name is Michelle
Mhm.
Hoyland, Hoylend. And I'm also on the Delray Beach Preservation Trust, and we've agreed to replace one that got knocked down in a traffic accident. And it wasn't $7,000, but $2,500. So you might want to give her a call and see
Thank
where
you.
she's buying.
Thank you. I appreciate that information. I'll share that with Craig.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what they want to put on it. Like the Poinciana marker, we had front and back. That's why that one was so expensive, because we put photographs on the back of it. So if you're just doing words on the front, it definitely should be less expensive.
Right now, it was just words on the front.
Yeah.
Of course, weatherproofing and all that, but yes.
We have 5 districts in Delray Beach, and they each have markers.
Okay.
2 markers for each. 2 markers for each district at the beginning and at the end. So,
Okay.
I'm just
I
giving you a
appreciate the
resource,
information.
that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you again, gentlemen. Thank Craig for us. I hope you don't catch what he has.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Let's see. So if the community, the Black community decides to come back and apply to be put on the local register, that's something to consider. There are places, there are definitely more than just 2 more places in that community that could be added to the local register. I don't know, anybody else have any thoughts on what could be added? I wouldn't mind adding the Little League field, truthfully, because Little League has been playing at that field since 1957. So that's pretty near 70 years that it's been a Little League field. And we've designated light poles and cemeteries and other things. Anybody have any thoughts on that particular location or another location? No? Nobody's thinking?
I think that if it's 1957, that we deserve some kind of historic notice. So, can you hear me? So, yeah, I would be in favor of designating the Little League field as a historic.
Or at least looking into it?
Yes, absolutely.
Come back with information, come back with more information.
Once it becomes designated, they can't change it. So that could be a problem if they're thinking of redevelopment or anything
They're
like that.
in the process of doing that now. That's all getting redone. The whole thing, there was an article about it in the paper.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it's not the whole thing, only part of it.
Well, they're doing it in phases, but a significant part of it, right? Different fields and putting the new concessions and bathroom.
But it's still gonna be a Little League field.
Right.
Oh, right, I'm not saying, I wasn't saying you couldn't change the field and keep it a field and upgrade it. I was just saying that they couldn't tear it down and put a bunch of condos there or something.
Yeah, or a cemetery.
And you know, in addition to that, we've talked about this before, our own cemetery that is right next to the ball field is got, you know, very, very old graves in it. They go back to the early Bahamian immigrants here that helped build the city. I would like to see those protected. And we talked about the bridge as well over the intercoastal. So I think these are not homes, but they're important landmarks in our city that I think we can be proud of, and we want to make sure that their historic value is recognized.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about the bridge, I know it's a historic landmark, but since they changed it and put the fancy design, you know, the outlined outcuts of the fish.
Well, we can look into it.
We can ask about that too, yeah. Okay, so we've got 3 things there. We've got the Little League fields, we've got the Woolbright Cemetery, which that was all one parcel, that's why
Well, if
we
we're gonna,
came from.
Barb, if I may, I really wasn't prepared to suggest properties tonight to be designated, but in light of you adding the item and we think of it, we really should consider doing the survey again that we've talked about before, engaging the part-time volunteer, even though we're not getting anywhere with that. We could, maybe we could find some support with a consultant like Wes Blackman or Frederick Mittner that can come in and do something, or your Audrey Norman that could come in and work on the survey, because as I drive through Forest Park, there are some very interesting historic homes in the 20s and 30s that should be considered, but without having a program and money being key, and a program that you could offer them with some type of leverage to incentivize them to make it happen, then, it's focused. So we have to put those.
Updated inventory would be nice.
Is there a grant writer in the city?
Yes.
Yes, we do have a good
Yes.
one.
Well, I know that, again, I'm not trying to compare Delray, but I want to give you my information. There's a $75,000 African American Heritage grant that is being designated to whoever got their application in April, and they do it every year. So, that would allow to buy the markers. It would, and you just have to have your grant writer go in and look for it. It's from the state, from the state of Florida.
I actually forwarded, do you know who Sandra Watson is? I'm sorry, Kelly, I didn't put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Sandra Watson, she was here at the Arts Board meeting on Thursday. I forwarded to her the link to the grant that's up now. It ends, your window's closing.
The window's
It's
closed.
the end of this month.
The window's closed, but now's the time to write it.
Oh, no,
For the
they
next one.
I think there's a $50,000 grant out there right now from the State Historic Preservation Office.
I know that the people doing the Roosevelt School in West Palm Beach,
This
got
one's
some
specifically
huge grants.
for black churches.
Just, yeah, for black.
It's sacred,
Black community.
sacred something or other. But I sent the link to Sandra. So we'll see how often she reads her emails.
And I know I'm beating the drum over and over again, but this is why we need a historic planner full-time to find these grants, apply for them, because we don't ever get them for historic preservation in the city, because we don't apply for them. And it's too much for the staff in the city, I think, to take that on, and we need a historic planner. And this has been our #1 priority for I don't know how many years now, and I want to keep putting it on the record every time we have a meeting. It has to happen, because we are unique in Palm Beach County, and probably the state of Florida, in not having one, especially in a city of this size.
I would agree.
I agree. And the reason I even brought up about the grants was because of what you're saying about the survey. So they're doing a survey of the cemetery in Delray Beach through the city initiative, but it's a grant. You know, you can't afford to do all of that. You can't afford to have the experts come in.
Surveys are
They're very expensive,
And we're
But they're
and they're
the
very
ones-
thorough.
They give a lot, that's the ones that are not the easiest, but
Yeah.
they're
And
probably the most common type of grant.
there are consulting groups that do surveys. I know of them, but you have to pay them. And you have to, they have people that will do it. We're way past due. This last one was 1996, so what are we coming up on now, 30 years?
Well, there's almost another.
Another designated period, period of significance.
Well, like Leisureville, we talked about that before, there's some communities we should just look at. There's maybe a few along the intercoastal, maybe some of them shouldn't be considered, but we should look at maybe the architectural features and their contributions to, if they have any historic significance, but just consider them.
Well, before Warren left, we did have discussions about Leisureville and Sterling Village and Colonial Club and all those condos down Federal Highway. And it would, to get them designated would not necessarily be in recognition of their architecture or their beauty, but more along the lines of their contribution to the fabric of the city and the creation of Boynton Beach. How did they help form what Boynton Beach was becoming and became? So, but the tricky part is that we need to get 51% of the people who live there to agree.
That's why if you don't have a program
Yeah.
with offer some incentive to
Mhm.
help them do those and
Mhm.
preserve it, just not gonna happen.
It's on. I'm not aimed correctly? Oh, Tom, turn yours on. You forgot to turn yours back on, I think. So, yeah, I mean, there are different condos and, HOA type situations that certainly are old enough to be considered to add to the local register and have some local districts. But the tricky part is getting 51% of the people to agree.
Where does it say you have to have 51%?
Well, we wrote it into the ordinance. It's different, it's similar along the lines of, our little fledgling district over here. I think you own a home over there. Why it failed the first time around when we were trying to get them to agree to become a historic district, we failed by like one owner.
I'm just saying that I didn't realize that you were letting the owners make that decision.
Well, it's in the ordinance, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that's why I was
Yeah.
asking.
I mean, I was kind of leaning on what Warren was telling us all, so I assume he told us on this correctly.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Actually, Chapel Hill is gonna be 50 years old soon too. So there are other communities that are coming of age that have some interesting architectural features in those homes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then as far as urging the city commissioners to get us a full-time historic preservation planner, now would be the time to start thinking about what steps we could take as a board, because they won't be looking at the budget until early summer, and then it like snowballs quickly. So whatever urging we want to do, whatever path we want to take,
Do it now because it starts much
Yeah.
earlier than that.
we need to start thinking about what kind of steps we can take to encourage them, whether it's showing up at city commission meetings and speaking in public audience as a board member.
Is the budget making process open to the public in any way? Yes. So then that would be the place to do it, right? Or
You can't wait that long. By the
I'm
time
here
you,
educating guys, we
Well,
have
we've been
to
doing
give
that.
them the good information.
When Barbara gave her presentation in November, there was some discussion in the commission about hiring a historic planner. And that was the number one priority that you made in that presentation, so we need to follow up on that right now. Those people on the commission, right, who said they were interested in doing that and writing it into the budget next year.
it's never too early to start, but sometimes it's too late. So give some thought to, maybe for the next meeting, we can put that on the agenda, a discussion of how we want to proceed.
Yeah,
What
let's
steps?
come up with concrete steps this year,
Yes.
because we've been pushing this off for 2 years at least now.
Oh, really?
Even if we just for for conversation's sakes, maybe we could do a collaboration with the Historic Society in a fundraiser like Historic Home Tour. We raised 25 to 50,000 on our first home tour we did in Lake Worth. I know Delray has a very successful one too that raises a substantial amount of money for their nonprofit. And then maybe we go with hat in hand and offer some some money to help facilitate that.
That's not a bad idea.
Boynton has enough money.
No, I know, but you have to sometimes.
They're not
you know,
prioritizing their historic
Well, that's the
heritage.
agreed,
That's
but
the biggest problem.
it really is education. They're just not really. It's not something they're attuned to. They're not around it. Haven't been around it.
I think when you don't have a planner, it's less obvious to them day to day. They're not working with a planner in the office down the hallway. And I think that creates more and more the situation that we're dealing with, where it keeps getting pushed down the road. Because if there was a planner, it's like, oh yeah, look what all the things they're doing. So they don't think it's relevant.
And the urgency's not there when you don't have anybody working on it full time in the city.
That's right.
And then they have great ideas and then they move them forward.
But have we sold the city really? It has to be sold to them in a way that they have buy-in and that they see, because right now, they really, everything is driven by ad valorem taxes. So when they see a new project come to town, it takes an empty lot, it builds it, it gives them tax revenue. They understand all of that. We have to go in and explain to them the value of preserving historic neighborhoods, how the improvements can be leveraged, and really when they're working so hard to do affordable housing and workforce housing, and really it's right in front of them in the existing neighborhoods. If they put the right programs in place, you could really turn some of these neighborhoods block by block into really some really neat little gems and do what they want to do, and that's stabilize the housing market and improve the neighborhoods at the same time. And, but if you don't have that culture built into this, everybody from the staff all the way down, then it's not going to happen. We saw it with the train station all the way to
you know, other historic properties that are really demolished. Before I came on the board, as you know, one of the first motions we made was to include at least a review from this board of properties before they're demolished if they fall into, you know, more than 50 years old. Just for a cursory review, and then I believe it was amended later and staff makes that review. But still, there's a process for at least a review. But still, if it's not instilled in them that that's the direction the city needs to go, for especially special pieces like Women's Club, of course, and other churches and key pieces in town. But if you don't put protections there, you know, there is always the opportunity for it to go bye-bye. That's really what you try to do with key pieces, but be strategic and, you know, about what pieces you do pick to make sure they are key resemblances of what the history you want to be able to portray.
We love the studies, all the studies that have been done shows that historic preservation is an economic driver. It does drive, I mean, just look at Delray Beach. You know, they
West
embraced.
Palm, look at what West Palm's doing.
Lake Worth, over $1 billion in ad valorem, you know, in revenue, in valuation, when, you know, we were lucky to reach $500,000, you know, $500 million. It was scary sometimes, you know, during the 80s and early 90s.
And how many historic neighborhoods are in Lake Worth Beach? A smaller community than here?
There's 10 in there, 10
We have
historic
yours.
1,100 homes.
Yeah,
So
that's
we're
amazing.
in 5 and we're shooting for 6 and possibly 7, so it does, it drives,
And
the
we're bigger than
economy.
both Delray.
And it doesn't impede it all, and you can have both.
And here's another thing, look at Boca, they have one, and look at the heights, and look at the, you know, it's just got to be so overwhelmingly tall, everything in Boca's tall.
It'll go back, you know, everything goes in cycles.
I'm just saying that when you look at
Not bad.
Delray, people love it
Not
because
bad.
they kept the quaintness, and Boynton needs to keep the quaintness.
At least some. I mean, you can't do it everywhere, but there are key places you want to have that little strip, like we did with Lake Avenue, and like Atlantic Avenue has, and Plymouth Street. You want some, at least, little piece of your remembrance of your history. Otherwise,
We should make a Warrior building historic. That's a piece that's gone. You know, it's got the arcade down to it. I mean, that was a type of architecture that
it was
just,
really remodeled so many times, and
the
I don't
inside,
know.
but the outside looks just like it.
but it had you know, it is a historic, you know.
You can remodel the inside all you want. It's the outside that we're looking at. The height and the, you know, the elements.
So we can look at inside.
Unfortunately, the Oyer building is, the foundation is shot pretty much, and nobody wants to put the money into fixing it up, so. Okay, everyone has an assignment, think of more places and think of things we can do to approach the city commission to convince them that we're a worthy effort. All right, so anybody else, something else about that topic? Okay, let's move on to.
Yes, well, I apologize. The Magnuson House, I was by there the other day. The wood frame around the windows is rotting. And I think I mentioned a couple of times, you know, a very popular thing is demolition by neglect. And believe it or not, it's, you know, documented that municipalities are the biggest, you know, fault of that. So, you know, I keep seeing it get, you know, sitting there like the Anderson, and then eventually, you know, my good friend John Gutzman, you know, who I love, but he did very similar, and like where it's one of the only things that we bumped heads on was, you know, the signing off on wanting to demolish and having to go through the board. So,
Well, that gentleman that has the contract to put a restaurant in there still has the contract. So, until the city or the CRA decides to do something, whether to
Yes, the CRA, maybe.
move forward with the project and force him to do something,
Be a
or
grateful bed and breakfast.
to put it back out for RFP, or whatever, remains to be seen, but good eyeball to get that.
Since that is a historic house, that it's in our purview, do we know the terms of that contract? How long does that person have to develop it, or it reverts back to the city, or the contract is void, or what? Do we know?
Well, it's my understanding that they've gotten a couple of extensions. Amanda, would you know more about that than I do?
Yes, good morning, or good evening. Good evening, Amanda Raggan, Planning and Development Director. That contract is still viable. They have gotten a couple of extensions. One just we're not moving around enough or something?
Really? This happened. Okay, that's interesting.
Mood lighting, guys.
We're here still, guys. We're still here.
Have to turn on lights. But the one has been just recently, I would say probably around November. I think they were given another few months, so I'll look at the latest status of that.
Is there anyone that is responsible then for the upkeep in the meantime?
It is currently still owned by the Sierra.
So they're the ones that need to fix the framing if there's rotting going
Bring
on.
it to their attention, so at least it's out
I
there.
made a note, I will bring it up to the executive director of the Sierra.
Okay, anything else? Alright, let's move on to item 4C. The Bernard Thomas mural was removed shortly after the CRA took possession of the Women's Club. I became aware of it and I reached out to Andrew Mack at that point upon its removal and pretty much reminded him that that's an historic artifact, precious historic artifact, and to please do not lose track of it. Well, in the meantime, it got lost track of, and we had a new public art administrator with no historical knowledge of its importance, and he put it in the divest pile. And it was a series of comedy of errors as it passed along everybody's hands except mine, and it was divested to the church across the street, the Methodist church, by Bernard Thomas's daughter. And I've had conversations with her, and I would like very much, and I wanted to talk to all of you guys and see what you think about having it put back into the Women's Club. The bone of contention with that mural is, well, in the first place, the mural, he painted it, it's on a sheet of plywood, 4x8, and it's supposed to portray the history of the state of Florida. And in the upper right-hand corner is a Confederate flag, which flew as the state flag of Florida from 1868 to 1900. So it is indeed a piece of Florida's history, but it is offensive to some people. So I'm working on getting a temporary plaque put over that corner. The daughter has an idea that, and I've put it into her hands, what kind of plaque, what would she like to see put on that plaque to cover the offensive flag. So, and I believe I can convince the Historical Society to pay for that plaque since we don't have any money to do anything. So I would like to see that mural replaced into the Women's Club, and so would Bernard Thomas's daughter. And I was interested in hearing what people on this board have to say, if you have any thoughts about whether you think it could be replaced into the Women's Club, and is that an effort you could get behind?
I'm glad you explained all that because I heard a little bit here and there about it. I was wondering why it was taken out, why it's gone, and why nobody seems to have been consulted, least of all us. And it was originally intended to be in the Women's Club by the artist, and it was kept there and put there, and the daughter wants it back. I say, let's work on doing it. What do we have to do to try to get it undivested or whatever has to happen?
That's a very good word. I would dearly love to undivest it. I've been kind of working on it behind the scenes to see what we need to do. The daughter does not object. She would like for it to be put back to where her father painted it and intended for it to be. And is okay with putting the temporary plaque over the Confederate flag. But now we need to get permission from the city because I believe the custody of the women's club is in the city's hands. I think the CRA handed it over. Is that correct, Amanda?
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Can I make a motion that we approach the city or have staff approach the city and ask them if, or the CRA, whoever, just the city, and ask them if we can reclaim for the women's club that mural with the plaque put on it. So the reason for its possible removal is now no longer there. Correct?
yeah, I'm basically the.
Second your motion.
Oh, thank you, Rhonda, thank you, Ms.
Discussion.
Sure,
So,
microphone.
oh, sorry. So I think this is the one that was, the place that it was originally placed was, it was designed for that spot, right? Is that the one you're referring to? That I've heard this through the Historic Society. I mean, it only makes sense that that's where it should be, but are there other issues maybe the city could have taken into consideration other than the Confederate flag, or why it should be removed, or did another entity remove it during the transfer, or something that we're not aware of? Do we know if it was the city that wanted it removed and that it was specifically the Confederate flag? And then my second point is, if I understand, I totally respect and support the covering of the flag. I understand it would be. I think it would need to be done a little more tastier than a plaque over it. For example, maybe an artist can put the American flag in that same spot in some way over it, or with some type of a, wrap that would go on it that can come off without damaging the original piece, or just the thought that maybe think of. I would just tell them that you would, it would be covered, and then have some consideration of what you want to put there. Maybe it's the city of Boynton, a historic look of an old logo, or just we'll think it through of what could go there that would look like it's always been there, and not just a plaque that was applied on there.
Well, that's one of the options that's already been explored. And it's been explained to me that putting the temporary plaque over it does not alter the art, whereas trying to amend the portrayal of the Confederate flag would be altering the art, and that's considered a no-no. So the plaque is the plaque over the corner would be temporary, and it could potentially be an etching of the artist's face and his his information, name, date of birth, and when he passed away, and the name, because I'm certain that the mural has a title, it had to have been titled something. So we've kind of already explored that avenue. And painting, because at first I thought, well, that's a simple fix. Let's just turn it into an American flag, and so presto, we've cured it. But no, that's a big no-no to alter. Oh, look, you pulled up a picture of it. Sweet.
That's actually a good location to put a plaque to.
There it
If
is.
we're gonna put one about the artist in there,
I mean, and it would fit, we could size it to fit right there. That's pretty.
You already have a flag, an American flag already there, so obviously that wouldn't work, that idea.
So, the idea of just a temporary plaque over that flag.
Or put the recognition of who saved it and put it on there, the historic club and the historic board and the city, and memorialize it that way.
We don't need any credit for it.
Well,
Just to get it back on the wall would be credit
Yeah,
enough.
that's fine, but I mean some type of recognition to the artist is fine too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's very
And I
good.
think it makes it more available for the public to see it too, than being in the church and you're not a Methodist, you'll never see it, right?
And that's where
Exactly.
he painted it, Bernard Thomas painted it to be there. That's what he painted it for. So, anyways, so it sounds like we have a motion and a second on the floor.
If I could please just have some clarification on, what you would like us, staff, to say, because I'm more than happy to write an email to management and express your wishes, but if the city is the one who removed it, and then if it is within the ownership of the church, are you, what exactly would you like me to ask management?
Well, from my understanding, it's kind of sort of been put into the ownership of the daughter, and she has no place to put a sheet of plywood in her house.
Right.
So that's the church that she attends. So she thought that could be an appropriate place to put it.
But it hasn't transferred to.
Oh
it
no,
hasn't
it's
been
in the
donated.
library across the street.
Got
Yeah,
it.
it's
Okay, so
already
it's
there.
still within the ownership of the daughter. So.
Yes. And she would not object to having it, put back to where it needs to be put back to. And I understand your confusion of, okay, what next?
Yeah, so, and then just because if this action was taken by the city, is the request to see if there is an appetite to have it reestablished in the Women's Club with the addition of a plaque to be donated by the Historical Society? Is that the request?
Yeah,
Okay.
You know
Alright,
it. That
got it.
sounds pretty good.
I don't know if I would use the word appetite.
I will wordsmith it.
I would use something more like we want this to happen.
Well, I would
I
include,
wouldn't even, I don't know that I would even make it as a, do you want it?
Request.
Yeah, we respectfully request.
and I'll give you the basis of the understanding of our request. The building was put on the National Register first, years and years ago, okay? And that painting was in the building at the time that it was put upon the National Register. So I would say that it's part and parcel of its designation as a national historic thing. So, and then we came along and we designated it for the local register, and so it's doubly registered. There's
Yes, Madam Chairman. Amanda, may I ask a procedural question? When, I was gonna say the planning board, but when the historic board or an advisory board makes a recommendation to the commission, does it not get presented to the commission in a way of a recommendation, like a memo to them that the board is making this recommendation to the commission and staff either recommends or doesn't recommend? Or do we not do that?
It would depend on what the item is. So if it is an item that was brought by staff and the city itself is looking for a recommendation, yes. So if there's something within the purview of the board or the rights that are explicitly within the code, then yes, it moves forward to, for example, the designation of a property.
So only staff recommended changes would then?
No, there are
go to
a
the
couple
board?
of explicit powers of the board, such as recommendation for designation. For example, what happened with the Andrews House. So the Andrews House, this board recommended that it be designated and we look into the designation. So we took that and we got the report done, and that recommendation, once approved here, would move to the commission with the recommendation of the board. So there are some explicit items in which the board can move forward to the commission, and then there are ones regulated that staff would bring forward that are within the powers of the board also.
I would add also that if this board had been consulted in the first place before its removal, we could have made the recommendation of putting a plaque over that flag, the offensive flag, and it never would have been removed in the first place, because we would have been aghast at having it removed from the Women's Club in the first place. We only found out about it basically by accident. So, and I wasn't the only one that was aghast.
consideration for weddings and other events, and that some didn't think that that was an appropriate, for like a wedding. But it could be covered, of course, for, but is there any, that's why I was asking, is there something else other than the Confederate flag that that was taken into consideration? Or no? I mean, evidently you're smiling, so you know this answer then.
I do know the answer, and I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, well, that's, okay.
No, that was, I hate to say it, but I believe that was subterfuge. That was, the basis of the removal is the offensive flag in the corner. So, and in the times that we're living in right now, there are, and there's no explanation on the mural that was the state of Florida's flag for, how many years? 32 years? So, and without that qualification, explaining why it's on there, people would not understand necessarily unless somebody said it was the state's flag for, several decades. Anyway, so it sounds like we have a motion. Is there any more discussion? Anybody? No? Okay, all in favor of asking Amanda to approach the city to see about having the mural put back into the Women's Club? Is that close?
Yeah, and also that she would report back to you whatever
Yes, please.
developments there are, that come from us. Yeah.
What can we do? Do you need my pickup truck to go get it? Willing.
I will forward a response to the board once received.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Okie dokie. All right, under new business. Do you have any new business, Amanda? Do you have anything to tell us about the Andrews House? Any progress on that negotiation?
All I know as of this time is that southern parcel has scheduled a pre-application meeting to review the new project, and we are still discussing the use of that parcel in which they would like to relocate it. So slow developments as they're going through their design process. We don't have a formal application in yet. As soon as we do, I will let this board know.
Because they know we're still determined to save it, right?
They do.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Questions for Amanda? No? All right. We have a category called other. Does anybody have any other? No? Okay. Comments by board members? Well, I wanted to share with everybody the Historical Society is sponsoring a walking tour. Janet DeVries Naughton is doing a walking tour this Saturday. I'm not sure what time it is.
It's full. There's no more.
There's no one?
It filled up very quickly. So, but there's going to be another one in March probably. So,
Okay.
just go on the website, or if you're a member of the Historical Society, it's always in the newsletter in terms of
I think it's boyntonhistory.org is the website. And the other thing that I wanted to share with you all is our next program for the Historical Society is February 26th. And the topic is Sunshine State, Sunshine State, anyways, it's about the Beatles, which is very exciting because this month is actually the 60th anniversary of the Beatles coming to Florida. And we do our programs by Zoom. So anybody who would like to watch our Beatle program on February 26th at 7 o'clock, you can email me and I will send you a Zoom invite, and it's free. Our programs are always free. March, we're going to have a program on the 4th Monday as well. That program is going to be Marjorie Stoneman Douglas and Rachel Carson, two artists that impacted the Everglades, I believe. Anyway.
anyways, anybody got any good news to share about anything? No? No? Okay, if there are no objections, and seeing no objections, we stand adjourned.
Did we have an announcement for the next meeting?
Yeah, you forgot to tell us when our next meeting.
We are targeting May 13th.
May
May.
15th?
May 13th.
So it's 3 months away now.
That's pretty far away, kids.
Well, May is Historic Preservation Month.
That's
It's
two.
every 2 months.
We think there will be a couple of items will be placed for your reviews and approvals. So we are giving it's possible it can be in April, but it's likely targeting in May.
So just to clarify, the meetings are scheduled quarterly right now, every 4 months for the regularly scheduled meetings. However, as items come up, we could call special meetings between those meetings.
Is that sufficient meetings to retain our CLG status?
It is, the decision was made based on that. They required 4 meetings, so we did 4 regularly scheduled meetings with special meetings in between.
Can I ask too, we used to get, lists of the members and when their terms expire and their phone numbers and information. I mean, just basic stuff, but we used to get that regularly, so we get to know the other members of the board, what communities they're from and Boynton and so on. So I don't know if you have a template for that list. It's probably for all the boards.
We have it, we'll be happy to share.
Thank you. I think you can that to us, that'd be great.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
I have extra copies of the paper presentation,
That was awful.
if anybody would like one.
That was an amazing presentation.
I'm so.
You guys did an amazing
It was all her, I just dropped things into PowerPoint.
I was
Yes,
watching it from London, England.
you made an excellent assistant.
I thought it was pretty.
It just made me cry.
So mine, as I told you all in my email, that was my 43rd wedding anniversary.
I can tell you.
It was very hard for me to try to explain to my wife.
You could
I would have
have
somebody else would have to fill in
You
for
could have
that.
brought her, we could have been the
Oh
date.
yeah, she'll really love that.
We could have been the date.
She's had 40-some years of it, she's probably tired.
We're happy to distribute the digital file as well, we do have that.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
That
Please,
video,
that'd be great.
that video that started.
I'll see it better.
It made
My eyes
me
are
cry.
good.
It was just,
Really?
because it's crazy.
I'm not clear.
Yeah.
This will be
We're making great progress. All right, thank you, everybody.
Education.
Thank you, Amanda, thank you, Jay.
All right.
Thank you.
It's my
Thank you,
pleasure.
Catherine.